Welcome to the Real News. I'm Eddie Conway, coming to you from Annapolis. We're down in one of the state office buildings now with a large number of activists from Baltimore City coming to lend their voice to a new bill that's being considered.
You guys are holding up shirts to fight against the governor's crime bill, SB 122, which seeks to incarcerate our young people.
The time is now to take action and to vote to give law enforcement officers, prosecutors, and judges the tools they need to finally get these shooters and repeat violent offenders off of our streets once and for all.
The governor's plan, the crime prevention plan, is completely off base and is specifically looking towards the mandatory minimum sentences. So the people that I represent are African American, indigent people, and that's who's going to be disproportionately impacted by it. I mean, mandatory minimums are proven to be non-deterrents. They don't prevent crime.
Today we've talked about mandatory minimums. We talked about things that historically we know do not work. They definitely don't work for our community, and they don't work for the broader Maryland. So why do we continue to kind of regurgitate and recycle this political rhetoric that, again, only hurts our people?
The NAACP categorically opposes this legislation. It is a bad bill. It's not the right thing to do, and it's not the right place to start. What we need is an investment in programs that dismantle the violence ecosystem, because just taking one set of violent people out of the community and putting them in jail is not going to stop the violence.
Governor Hogan made a press conference yesterday, and one of the things that he's trying to do is pass a law that you will end up getting more time if you have a weapon or if you've been convicted before.
There are far too many violent gang members terrorizing the streets of Baltimore, and we need to remove as many of them as we can as quickly as possible.
He's talking about being hard on crime, but he's not doing anything about jobs. Do you think jobs in the community would make a difference?
I do believe jobs will make a difference in the community, because with more time on their hand, they can do something that is not in a illegal way, and they could, instead of doing the illegal things such as selling or carrying weapons, they could do something other, such as maybe selling cars for a job instead of a cell, right, and doing things even worse.
I see you're saying jobs are important.
Well, jobs are very important because it gives access to opportunity. And so if we limit the jobs that individuals can actually have access to, then that changes the dynamics. And so it's important that jobs are provided to individuals to deal with the issues within the community. So jobs are definitely important for formerly incarcerated, and also for the community as a whole.
When we talk about policy, the fact of the matter is, we need to have a statewide ban-the-box policy. No longer should someone be allowed to discriminate and provide implicit biases on someone based off of their past criminal activity. They should be given a fair shot at all of those jobs and all the opportunities.
One of the major problems with this bill is that it ties good things like funding for violence intervention programs to really bad things like expanded police powers when the police haven't shown that they've earned the public trust and confidence to have those powers.
Today, effective immediately, I am directing the Maryland State Police, the Maryland Transportation Authority Police, the Maryland Transit Administration Police, and the Maryland Capitol Police to expand vehicular land and boat patrol tactics. This will establish a more visible police presence in high crime areas and those suffering from marked increases in violent crimes. We have also requested the U.S. Marshals Service, and they have agreed, to immediately begin an aggressive sweep across the city with 80 more U.S. Marshals and federally designated task force officers to join with the state and the city on these high priority violent warrants.
The other aspects that the governor wants to bring into it in terms of bringing in outside agencies, it's almost a heavy hand that kind of preys down on the city. There's no doubt that the impact of this sentencing is going to disproportionately not only affect the populations of black people and poor people, but Baltimore City residents. So everything is kind of like you guys can't do it yourself. So to bring in outside law enforcement agencies to not allow people in the city to kind of control their own destiny.
Well, I'm here, of course, because this is a great opportunity for us to organize around creating jobs and create tangible solutions versus put policy in place. It's just going to keep people in jail longer. And Senate Bill 122 does exactly that. And it's not something that's beneficial to black and brown communities. And being from Baltimore City specifically, it will hurt us and it will not help us. We need to focus on investing in grassroots programs and organizations that do crime prevention and deterrent versus keeping people in jail longer, because we know that that doesn't impact the conditions that they live in when they get home.
We're trying to get the voters to understand what's happening, to understand the laws that are pending before the legislature. People don't even realize January through April, every law in the state of Maryland is written. So when you come to me in June when they're being enacted and you're like, how did we increase mandatory minimums? How did we take away judicial discretion? Why is it now I can be pulled over for just my seatbelt? Which means, anytime someone says, oh, I thought you didn't have your seatbelt on. And now they're all in your car. Now they're trying to say they've got probable cause for a search. That happens January through April.
There can be no more excuses. Time is running out, and we need to take action, and we need to do it right now in the next 2 weeks. We cannot afford to stand by while people are being shot and killed in our streets. The House is hearing this legislation tomorrow.
To say that we need to pass new criminal laws as a new knee-jerk reaction, that's not what we need. What we need are options in terms of job training, in terms of actual jobs themselves, investment in communities, just grocery stores and options for people in their own neighborhoods. And that stuff is going to have a more immediate impact.
And so what the NAACP is saying is, don't rush to just do something. Do the right thing. Don't say, well, you got to start somewhere. Start in the right place. And if we start in the right place, then we recognize that the violence issue is an economic justice issue. It is a human rights issue. And all people in Maryland, whether they live in Harford County or Baltimore City, have the right to be secure and to have community security and personal security. And so we're saying that violence is an issue, but a lot of the violence is precipitated by the fact that the government has failed to make people in urban communities feel safe.
Tough on crime policies. They haven't worked in the past, and I doubt if they will work now in the future. And the majority of states and the federal government have changed their policies to reduce the number of people who are incarcerated. So the government is actually going in the opposite direction of the nation at this point. So it wouldn't be beneficial to be tough on crime when we can actually serve people in the community. A lot of people need resources and programming, and that can be done in the community instead of mass incarceration.
Obviously, you're passionate about changing things, or you wouldn't be all the way down here in Annapolis. So what's your motivation? How did you get involved?
I want to own a rehabilitation facility, and I rather help people than send them somewhere for punishment. And my teacher, she's really big on that, and she does teach us that not everyone needs to be punished. This is not a cruel, it doesn't need to be a cruel place. We can be more helpful than we are now.